They said his name was Tyler Robinson.
The man accused of killing Charlie Kirk's grandmother came forward and said that he is MAGA, his father's MAGA, his mother's MAGA, and that she doesn't even know a Democrat. The fact that the man comes from a white, Christian, Republican, conservative, MAGA, gun-using family is the right's worst nightmare. His grandmother, Debbie Robinson, has come forward and spoke to press and said, everybody in my family is MAGA. We're all Republican. His dad's Republican. I don't even know a Democrat. We've all voted Republican. That's why they have to have the wrong person. Everyone from the top down, from the president down to layman, have been saying that this has to be the left. This is a left extremist. When we know 99% of all mass shootings, school shootings, anyone that is radicalized in this country and that commits political violence is usually MAGA and usually right wing. There are several posts of Tyler Robinson using guns as his family were hunters and gun enthusiasts. The governor of Utah went so far as to say, I was hoping for the last 2 days that this was someone not like us, someone from a different country or a different state, meaning not a white MAGA Republican.
For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us, that somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for.
Response to this passing has been one of the wildest things for me to witness. Because even in the government, Congressman Clay Higgins from Louisiana is suggesting that all people who say anything that is bad about Charlie Kirk, which is really exactly what Charlie Kirk said, should have their licenses revoked. And others are calling for the State Department to have any immigrant or anyone in process of getting their visa or citizenship have their status revoked, all because you don't like or agree with a podcaster. Let's keep in mind, this is a podcaster. He's not a state official, not an elected official, not a royal, no one who represented the country, but a podcaster.
What up, where's your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit notification bell. Keep sending those cash apps to CLBMG. Gang, I gotta keep it real with you. I have made this video already much longer with much more detail, but I opted to do it again with less detail because I don't want to spend this kind of time on this particular person. Maybe in another capacity, I will release that video to some degree and we can have the conversation then, but I don't want to do it right now because this Charlie Kirk situation, it almost feels like when you're watching Ghostbusters and Slimer hits you and you're just covered in slime. And the more I talk about this guy, I get more and more covered in slime. And the way I look at this situation with Charlie Kirk and Tyler Robinson and all of this stuff, I'm getting dragged back down into that political black hole that goes nowhere that I clawed my way out of years ago when it was just nonstop rhetoric about he who shall not be named, Mr. Donald Trump and things of that nature, where it just got so crazy. I had people on my page writing in all caps and screaming at me. And I was like, you know what, Charles, I'm dialing back. This is going nowhere. We're not making any leeway. We're going in circles. So now what I do right now in my day and time, I don't deal with politics as much. I still follow it. I'm just a regular human in America. So you're going to know what's going on in the politics, but I try to stay out of it for the most part. I only duck my head into this hole every couple months because as the person I am, I have to discuss this because there's a lot at stake right now. There are a lot of things at stake, and we're in a weird, bizarro world where anything goes now. What's up used to be down, what's down used to be up, and you can reverse these truths if you say the lie long enough. If you repeat the lie long enough, it becomes the truth. Michael Jackson was right. When a lie becomes the truth, Billie Jean will be your lover, and that kid will be yours by the time they're done talking to you. Now, in regards to Charlie Kirk, like I said, I'm not going to get too messy and slimy because this guy, I didn't know much, if anything, about Charlie Kirk. I heard his name here and there. I didn't watch his clips, and maybe I saw him and inadvertently didn't, put too much thought into who was speaking. I was like, that's just wrong. But at the end of the day, this Charlie Kirk thing, if you go too deep, you get covered in a filth that is hard to shake, and it rattles you to your core, because I don't look at this Charlie Kirk thing as political. This is not a political pundit. This is right versus wrong. And if you have his views in your brochure for your political party, then you are out and out wrong, and there is really nothing else to discuss. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is a lot of his views, they just didn't line up with mine. A lot of his views were racist, and they were fascist. And if you left it up, if his views that he stood on a platform and spouted these views, a lot of us wouldn't have much going on in this world if Charlie got his way. Charlie, if I'm not mistaken, believed that civil rights, the civil rights, pretty much the whole movement, giving us any of that was a mistake to give us civil rights. This guy has so many egregious quotes, you can't even name them all. You wouldn't even be able to say everything that this guy says. But in my crash course, it didn't take me long to realize, oh, this guy's a racist. Okay, I get it. This guy he barely likes women. He doesn't like anybody that's different from him. He only wants his culture, for lack of a better word. That's who he wants in positions of power. That's who he wants to rule this country. And if you're not of his, as if that was how this country was made, some kind of way, according to Charlie, if you let him speak long enough, they should be running everything. Right? Telling women what to do, telling men what to do. It should be his people and his people alone. I'm not going to offend nobody in this video. We're going to have a conversation, and everything I say is going to be pretty much right or wrong. Right? I love the people getting my comments. They be like, yo, he's out of his depth discussing politics. You're fucking right, because I discuss right and wrong. I don't need to know every stat and every political pundit and everything that they cook up so their side can be right and my side can be wrong, or vice versa. End of the day, I'm studying right and wrong. And when I look at Charlie Kirk, there's nothing political about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is literally the personification. In many ways, you could literally say this guy is sheer evil, because the simple fact, he promoted most things that go against my culture and what I stand for. This guy literally the walking Handmaid's Tale. He wants me to be subservient. He doesn't want me working unless it's under his boot. Now, he's not going to say it in that many words, but let's say everything that he thought and preached on, if he got his way, what would it look like? These people don't stand up on these soapboxes and preach just to do it. Yeah, he gets paid. That's a big part of it. But at the end of the day, they're looking for an end game with this shit. So what they're looking for is some resolution. And as he gets on those soapboxes and start to spew that hate and those messages, and he starts to get these kids while they're young, well, guess who grows up and makes the laws? So if he's spewing this stuff that he's spewing, and these kids 18, 19, now they're 29, and they believe what he believes, guess what? I'm subhuman. I don't deserve the job I got. I'm DEI. 300,000 black women lost their job since this doji and these department cuts and all this stuff have already started. But I told you this last year. A lot of you people, we're so divided. We can't even agree on right and wrong anymore. We're looking at things from political standpoints. We're so divided as a people that whoever says it, you decide if what they're saying is right or wrong. Right? They make things that they know in their heart are wrong. They make them right because of the political person that whatever party is spewing it. We're in a bad place, Kay. We're in a bad space. We've seen these people, and let's just start here. Now, he's been linked and he's represented by conservatives, right-wingers, right? He said some awful things, but they agree with them things. A lot of these people are full on tears that Charlie Kirk got murdered. A lot of people gonna say, oh, he got murdered for his opinion. He got murdered because he disagrees with you. He didn't get murdered because he disagrees with me. First of all, I didn't murder him. Okay? It's awful that anybody gets killed for what they're saying. No one wants to die for their opinion. That is awful. But where it has to stop is a man who himself says he does not believe in empathy. People are online being told to have empathy for a man who said, cut it out. I don't believe in that. We're being told that all of a sudden, all of the awful things. Yes, I told you I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I took a crash course on him. You can learn everything you want to know about him. 30, 45 minutes. You got it all. Got it, coach. Let me in the game. Charlie Kirk was a racist, a fascist, a bigot, a misogynist. This guy was all of that. Everything you put it in there, he was everything awful. This guy was everything awful. But somehow they want people who he's come at in every kind of situation. He's been awful to these people, saying heinous things to them. He callous, disrespectful, obnoxious, right? One of these political pundits who's mastered the art of throwing a whole bunch of stats in your face to say something that's wrong is right. But they want the same people that he ostracized, right? And really, if he could, would get us out the way, whoever that he didn't see eye to eye with, which somehow always seemed to be people that weren't straight white males. Let's just be honest, right? So end of the day, they want the people who he disagreed with, and they're trying to lighten up these words, right? This guy didn't disagree. This guy spewed straight up hate to people. Straight up unadulterated hate to all kind of minorities and underprivileged people. This guy was the living epitome. If I could say everything that's effed up that I want to say, but I really can't, he says it. And that's why they're all in tears right now. But let me continue. So when we get what we're getting here right now, right? They want the same people who he wouldn't spit on if they were burning up to somehow put their hands together and pray for his immortal soul. I guarantee you, Charlie wouldn't pray for not one of the people that you're saying to pray for his soul. Charlie had nothing but disdain and contempt for many of us, including myself. He masked it. He wore a mask to hide it behind, I'm a political pundit. I am just reading stats. I am telling you that black people are pretty much criminals that are dumb, and we need to do something about them. That is what Charlie Kirk is saying in regards to other races. That is what we're seeing. And with that being said, to condemn the people who, let's be honest, they're quote unquote celebrating his death. I think Charlie Kirk, if he was alive, wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't think he would care that they're celebrating or not celebrating, because he seemed to not care about what people thought in any way. So I don't know if a person that says, I don't believe in the word empathy, would actually have a problem with them making memes of him. I'm just going to be honest. There's so much to this story that I don't even have the time or desire to get in front of this. But when I see them calling for war, they're calling for all-out chaos and destruction. They're screaming and crying because this one man was shot. Now, rest in peace, I guess. But what I want to say is this. We can't have it where now you want to go to war because one man was shot. We had a lot of people on our side, quote unquote, side died. They got a lot of jokes. There's a lot of Trayvon Martin jokes, a lot of Michael Brown jokes. I can go on and on where you guys went. Every single one of those jokes, or every single one of those deaths, you blame the victim in more ways than one. You go out your way to be extremely unempathetic in regards to any of those murders. Most of those people get daily jokes. They get daily memes. They get zero, absolutely zero empathy when they're discussed. And a lot of these people have decided that now, since a guy that they actually do agree with has taken a hit, now it has to be World War III. It wasn't World War III when these black people were getting shot by the cops. It was always this, that, and the third. It wasn't World War III when we were in the middle of Jim Crow, getting lynched, beat, strangled, all kind of stuff, castrated. Wasn't World War III then. Wasn't World War III when we were slaves, getting mutilated, getting our families pulled apart. Wasn't no World War III. But now Charlie Kirk gets shot in the neck, and it's World War III. They want to kill everyone and everybody. Now they can't believe it. Can't believe it. Now let's talk about Charlie Kirk. This is a man who, in many ways, almost begged for some form of war in regards to race. And there's a lot to unpack with this that I'm not even going to get into. But let's just say this. He could literally be the reason to start one if you were somebody in the shadows trying to start one. So let's just say that, okay? But they wanted to start war on everybody that he spouted hate against. Well, guess what? In steps Tyler Robinson, right? In steps Tyler Robinson, and lo and behold, I just know all I had to do was wait. I said, listen, I know how the universe works. I know how God works. This is gonna be, he gonna give you 2 days of outrage. You're pointing fingers. You're trying to come at the HBCUs. You want to come at all the black. Now the blacks, the liberals. You want to. This is war. You've done it now. They're all in outrage. I've never seen them in this much rage ever. Right? It's all rage because of this one guy who spouted nothing kind to the quote unquote other side. It was all just whatever. You guys are beneath us. Deal with it. It is awful. It is awful stuff to all kinds of people, all walks of life. But somehow, when this awful human being to all walks of life, other than the one that he's a part of, you want to come at the other walks of life and tell them that they're amoral and somehow desensitized and are being evil, right? When they go against a person who has done nothing for his whole 31 years that I know of, but be completely divisive. Now, when he passes, you want flowers, you want candy, you want to be hugged, you want us to be like, you know what? That was wrong what happened to him, da-da-da. No one deserves to be killed for their opinion, gang. That is a fact. But when you're a man that says you're okay with a few casualties, as long as people can keep their guns, when you're such a gun nut that you're going to say, it doesn't matter if a few people, well, those are real people you're talking about. Some of those are kids that you're talking about. There's another way to get your point across without saying you're okay. You can deal with a few people getting killed as long as people get their guns. It's other ways to say that viewpoint, but this guy is callous and cold, and he's going to say it in the most shocking way. So he's pretty much saying, yeah, I don't care if a couple hundred people die every year, a couple thousand in these mass shootings, da-da-da. It ain't enough to take my rifle. So yeah, I condone the murders of these people. No empathy. Now, you want empathy for him? He pretty much said it's okay if someone dies from gun violence. Well, guess who the someone was? If you're the biggest critic and you're going to say, I think it's okay if someone dies just so I can keep my AR-15, it's fine. How many people? 1,000, 2,000, that's fine. I can live with that. As long as we keep the guns, I'm good with it. Well, I think that includes you too. You can be one of the casualties too. So I'm not saying that this should be callous and cold and we're coming up with all these jokes and memes about the guy, but this guy this story wrote itself. Let's just be honest. This guy wrote his own story. And here we are. In steps Tyler Robinson, right on cue. I told you, give it 2 days, God gonna be like, and now. Send down the kid that is nothing that they said he was. Send him down right now. He was a student at the school. His father's a sheriff. Send him down. Bang. Nope, he ain't trans. He ain't a liberal. He's none of that. This is gonna be funny. Watch this, Jacob. Watch this. This is gonna be bang. They laughing because they know you guys was gonna jump the bait. You jumped the bait. This is divine. This is divine intervention, because what's happening here is it's so divisive. You're not even looking at right and wrong. This guy was spouting wrong, and instead of telling him he was wrong, you low-key agreed with it. You low-key liked what he was saying, and you low-key want it that way. You low-key want it the way that he wants it. Black people don't have nothing. They're destitute. They're working under you. You're almost damn near giving them next to nothing. You're slaving them. That's what, in his word, that's what it's supposed to go back to, if you listening close enough. We're not supposed to have positions of power. We're not supposed to be in the White House. We're not supposed to be in the government. If you let them tell it, we're all DEI. We're all hires that don't deserve it. We're not smart enough to be there. We don't deserve civil rights. We don't deserve basic things. But this is the guy you want us to put our hands for and bow our heads and pray for? That's a lot to ask, and you damn sure wouldn't do it for us. You ain't pray for none of our victims. And we've been victims for a long time, and he loves to say that we're the criminals, we're the highest crime rate and murder. First of all, murder ain't the only crime. We don't lead in all the stats of crime. It's a whole lot of different stats of crime out there. Murder ain't the only one. For two, let's just say, for instance, if we had the conversation about race, right? Well, them kids in that community were low-key forced there, just like when they took this country and they forced those Indians, or who are the natives, right? They forced them in the small pockets of the country, forced them in there and said, that's where you're going to live from now on, and don't you leave. We'll let you have that spot, but that's it. The rest of this is ours. Well, you forcing it. You pushing a lot of these kids in these ghettos, and they're reacting. There were a lot of things we were supposed to have outside of these World War I and World War II that we never got, that a lot of people were able to build their fortune and wealth. A lot of people have homes to this day because of what they were given from the government way back when. And there was a lot of black land seized and given to the other people way back when. So there would be a whole different story if things weren't taken from us and given to these other guys that are now walking around with this smug ass look. Tommy Lauren and Charlie Kirk, right? Like, we're superior. I guess I would be superior too if I could manage to take everything from everybody else and push them to where they have to be fighting for the smallest of things. So it's a whole conversation that Charlie Kirk surely wouldn't have with you, because he wants to stick it in a little bubble, have these little stats that the government says, da, da, da. It's all about right now. It's no historical data to it. It's all about the last 20 years. That's all he wants to talk about. You guys are committing all the murders, da, da, da. It's millions of black people that ain't doing shit wrong, but let him paint it. Blacks are bad. This is it's a broad brush. Blacks are bad. Blacks do crime. The end. Right? 6 million people in the city, 500 gang members, but blacks are bad. 5.5 million people go to work every day, don't do no crimes, come home. But the 2,000 gang members, oh my God, send in the National Guard. It's a whole different thing. But if you let Charlie Kirk paint the brush, it's gonna be an ugly painting, and it's gonna look like we need to send a National Guard and round up all these niggas. Get the immigrants first, send ICE in there, chase them all down, up and down the street, grab them off their bike, grab them out of the office, grab them wherever they are, just grab them. Get them first. Push them out of here. They send them anyway. Send their ass to Uganda. Why are you sending somebody from fucking Mexico, Guatemala to fucking Uganda and fucking wherever? Like, they don't give a fuck. Get them out of here. Then item niggas next. But you need Charlie Kirk and people like that to explain to the people why they're bad. I've been telling you this since last year. I don't know if y'all been listening or not. We can't even decide that the whole attack on DEI is bad. 300,000 black women lost their job after that Doge and the attack on DEI. But y'all don't want to hear me. Y'all want to argue in the comments. Well, DEI is only about white women. Da, da, da. Yeah, 300,000 black women out of work right now. Okay, but I'm overreacting. What y'all don't understand, it's a bigger picture here. So a lot of people are like, yo, this guy, he got murdered because of his words, because he disagreed. He's just debating. I saw a guy up and down Twitter. He was just debating, guys. You guys are going a little far over a guy that just debating. Oh, really? Was he debating, or was he trying to set policy where they can start doing things and making laws to push people out and to do certain things to take your liberties, right? Which he could have been, listen, this whole thing could be happening to take more of your civil liberties, right? The guy that thinks you shouldn't have had him in the first place, right? He thinks that the civil rights movement was a mistake. So what's the opposite of civil rights? Motherfucker, like, what we talking about? Okay? But end of the day, we got a guy who was literally assassinated, and things are going to start changing with the policies that he spoke about. When you speak about these things, you talk them into existence to a degree, because if you get more people to believe them, I think right now we got way more people believing this, the rhetoric that he was spitting than we used to. This guy been doing this since he was 18, right? He's been on this conservative kick, which, I mean, let's just be honest, man. I don't know how we got here where we don't understand the difference of the parties. It's been so much misinformation. It's been so skewed. Like, when I was young, everything was clear as a bird. Clear as a bird. But somehow we got to a point now, and I mean, it's social media, gang. And maybe one day I'll get deeper into the topic of why we're here, and I can have somebody that look just like me arguing a completely different point that's really their talking point, but he looks like me, but he'll argue their talking point that they use to dehumanize me, but he'll argue it for him. He'll argue a white supremacist talking point for them, and he'll use it against me, and he'll think he's free thinking. But we never had this much access into that world. Now we have it. And now we think we belong in that world. And what they've done a very good job of making this thing a whole. It's just facts, guys. It's just facts. The brains are smaller, guys. They just don't compute things as fast as us. It's just facts, guys. They really aren't as smart as us. And if I see a pilot or something in a critical job and it's a person of color, I'm just wondering if they really can handle it, if they really have the mental capacity to get us to Boca Raton. I don't know if this plane's going to make it. It's a whole different thing now, gang. We're dealing with something that has very, very long implications. As a guy like this was spouting this is going to affect your grandchildren and your grandchildren after that. It's going to be to a point where they're not going to want to give these kids these jobs because of words like this guy. Making us into criminals, making us dumb, making us slow. But it's a thought process that will permeate, and this will last, but this is what he wants. But they want you to have empathy for this guy when someone actually does. Allegedly. Now, we're going to have a conversation about who allegedly, because they had a whole lot of theories. They wanted to burn everything down. They had to protect the HBCUs because they were coming. They had a whole bunch of theories. It's a trans black man. They had it all worked out. They had it all worked out until they didn't. And the fumbling, bumbling FBI, like they want to. Now the FBI done found somebody. He hopped off the roof, ran to his car, and got out of there. But I'm going to have this conversation because allegedly they found the guy. He ain't what they said he was. He ain't the one that's going to, and they're still trying to spin it, gang. They still, if this guy really did this, they already trying to blame the poor guy's mom. They try, like, it's everybody's fault. Like, it can't be the guy just did it. They're going to find a way to make this thing into what it is. They need somebody to blame. But God got a funny way, gang. He loves this stuff. He watched it. He said, I'm going to let them blame and go crazy for 2-3 days. I'm just going to let it happen. And then I'm going to shock them. Shock of the hour. Bang. I'm going to send down young Tyler. He's going to be surprised. It ain't what you thought. So, this is where we all want to have this conversation. A suspect in Charlie Kirk's killing is identified by officials as Tyler Robinson. The Utah Governor Spencer Cox said that a family member of Robinson's reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office. He's the son of the sheriff, gang. It's nothing that these people thought. It's called irony. Let me continue. Officials have identified the person accused of fatally shooting conservative activist Charlie Kirk as a 22-year-old Utah resident, Tyler Robinson. The governor said at a press conference on Friday morning that investigators arrested and identified him after analyzing surveillance footage. And also interviewing his family members and reviewing online messages between Robinson and his roommate. Quote, "We got him," Cox said, standing with FBI Director Kash Patel and other law enforcement officials. Robinson is expected to be charged with aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily harm, and obstruction of justice, according to a probable cause affidavit. So allegedly, Tyler was shown since he was 8 how to shoot firearms, how to maintain the guns, and how to pretty much defend himself with weapons. Okay, so here we are. We've had a kid that's been groomed since a child, how to fire these arms and to take matters into his own hands. They raised him to be 100% independent thinker, and this is what he thought about. Now, what they're going to start doing, right? They're going to start trying to find a crack in it, because this guy, the parents were conservative. This was a whole, this is, there's no chinks in the armor. This ain't no half liberal. No, this guy was locked in. His whole family was locked in. Conservative, MAGA, all that. Locked in, allegedly, right? According to reports, right? Let me continue. Kirk, a co-founder of Turning Point USA and an influential voice in the Trump administration, was shot and killed Wednesday during an event in Utah Valley University, a public school south of Salt Lake City. His killing launched a multi-day manhunt among local, state, and federal authorities. See, somewhere down the line, they wanted it to be the perfect catch, because then they could pin it all on this guy. Now, this is a political killing, quote unquote, but the other lady didn't get all the, what's her name, Melissa Horton. She didn't get all of this, right? They're talking about erecting statues for the kid, for Charlie Kirk and this, that, and third. And they're talking about changing all kind of civil liberties, and which we all knew was coming. When as soon as you saw the bullet hit him, you're like, whoop, there go your shit. Like, you know that half your freedom's gonna be gone, right? It's just, this is what it is. They wanted, this is civil war. This guy could have been a sacrifice. Let's just be honest. But end of the day, it wasn't a gay guy. It wasn't trans. It wasn't a black guy. All right. This was young Tyler. He was groomed from day one. Cox said that a family member of Robinson's reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson's who said he had become more political in recent years. Like I said, man, there's that word political. In a lot of ways, to me, it's right and wrong. And if your political party is spewing things that can be considered hate, I don't think that should be a political message. That's a wrong message. And if you agree with that, then you're a wrong person. And if you agree with basic, simple, us just having freedoms, if you think that that should be something that shouldn't exist, then that's a whole other fundamental issue. That has nothing to do with the politics that you practice. It's something else when you're telling me, yo, you shouldn't have been allowed to segregate the schools or whatever issue you got going on. Let me continue. Guns in America. What we know about Charlie Kirk's assassination. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th. And in the conversation with another family member, they talked about why he didn't like him, Charlie Kirk, and the viewpoints that he had. Cox said that the investigators interviewed Robinson's roommate, who showed authorities messages on Discord between Robinson and his roommate. The messages associated with the name Tyler state, quote, a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, engraving bullets, having left the rifle wrapped in a towel, and the mention of a scope and a rifle being unique. Authorities said on Thursday that they recovered the high-powered bolt-action rifle in a wooded area just off from the university campus in conditions that match Robinson's messages. It says that Robinson, his last voter registration, it was in 2021, and his political party is declared as none. He didn't declare either party. So I don't know what's going on with this kid, but at the end of the day, a lot of these young people are really just tired of the rhetoric. And it's sad but true that they're not going to stand for the nonsense. It's not about, this is my political party. It's about right and wrong. And this guy really spewed a lot of hateful, heinous things. So at what point do the hateful, heinous things that you think are okay, what point, if they happen to you, what point did you deserve it? And I'm not saying he deserved anything, but what I'm saying is he pretty much said, it doesn't matter if people die as long as we keep the guns. So why is it that he can't be one of the people who died for the guns that he cherished? I'm not a big gun guy. I don't go around thinking we need these assault rifles. No. So you're not going to be like, Charles, you're a hypocrite. You like guns. No, I don't agree with it. I don't think we need all these guns, gang. That's just where I am. It's too much violence. It's too much going on. Other countries don't have this much violence. We're the only country with this much violence, literally. So if you're a person who's okay with the violence, then you want to criticize the black people who get the guns dumped in their hoods in conditions that are they're not good conditions to be dumping guns in there. These people are hungry, destitute. So yeah, if you dump a bunch of guns, government issue guns in the hood, they're going to kill each other, but that's by design too. But Charlie don't want to have that conversation. A lot of these guns, these kids have no way of getting a hold of them, but yet they're there. But Charlie wouldn't have that conversation because it wouldn't make no sense. Then I would somehow put empathy on those kids that are killing. He wants to demonize them so he can say, yeah, black people are bad. So what I'm going to do, man, I'm going to leave it at this. Listen, Tyler is a young guy, and he made up his mind to do a heinous crime. This is an awful crime. But to expect people who were the targets of this guy's the rage baiting he did and the gaslighting, the targets of that, to expect them to somehow, some way start to try to be like, oh, it's not feasible. And I don't know why they should have to. I don't know why we all of a sudden, when someone passes away, all of a sudden we have to actually act like that with some kind of angel. And that's where the problem is coming. They want to treat this guy like an angel. He was not an angel. I'm just going to be honest. My crash court deduced he was not a good guy, not even a little bit. Okay? Now, we do feel sad for his children to grow up without no dad. No one wants that. We feel sad for his wife. We feel sad for his wife to move on without her husband. But there are thousands and millions of people who were taken unfairly, unjustly, who had to go on without their wives, their husband, and their children. And ain't nobody crying for them. And I don't want to be that guy like, you're not crying for them. But let's just be honest, at the end of the day, we can't make it like this guy all of a sudden deserves a statue and a day off when this guy did nothing but disparage us. He's like, Juneteenth, I'm going to work. It shouldn't be a holiday. This guy had nothing good to say about the people that are now celebrating his demise. And sometimes that's just how it goes, man. I'm out of here. CLBMG. I'm out.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine. Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.
Get my coat, get my sheepskin, grab my wallet, get my pocket knife, and get that hat right there. We out. Grab my pocket knife too. Let's go. When I first came to the city, niggas didn't believe me. I just wanted to join a team and throw assist pass easily. 6 man off the bench, alley-oop pass freely. Suit up for one game and hope a scout might see me. But nah, niggas is greedy, wasn't rocking with him. Unplugged the scoreboard, put a lock on the gym. Told me to power forward, point guard at the rim. And left me with no center and a ball full of phlegm. Not knowing that I'm a dog, a Rottweiler within. With the heart of a pit bull that don't bark for pretend. My bites cut deep, break the bone and the skin. With the level of hustlenomics you do not comprehend. So first I took a block down on the west side end. And then secured a spot with some goons and some kin. And then sent out some flyers, let the games begin. And in 6 months time, the city like that's him. Oh yeah, he the one that moved the hustle to the burbs. And yeah, he the one that knocked the hustlers off the curb. And yeah, he the one that set up shop without a word. And he the one that got it cracking. And all he did was rapping by the Hooters. I kept killers from being shooters. Put a mic in a thug's hand, now he loyal like Pats fans. Take a man off the streets past the needles and crack cans. Promise mama to keep him safe, then put some food in his face and he'll kill for you. But I don't need him for that. Click like, click share, tell them bitches we back. Share the whole location, tell them niggas where we at. Cause we out here and we ain't the cheese, we the trap.